In this video, I am going to talk on the topic, where does the zodiac begin in the context of Vedic astrology? The question is, why is this beginning of the zodiac so important? It is important because a reference point is needed for measuring the longitudes or degrees of the planets. The reference point should be astronomically a definite point and not arbitrary. Now, let me proceed to explain the zodiac in the first place. The Earth is at the center of the celestial sphere. This celestial sphere has a retrograde motion of about 50 seconds a year. The celestial equatorial plane, the yellow dotted line, passes through the Earth, dividing it into two hemispheres. As viewed from the center of the Earth, the apparent path of motion of the Sun is the red dotted line. This apparent path of the Sun is called the ecliptic. The Sun is at the southernmost tip on 22nd December. This is point A. On 22nd December, the Sun starts moving towards the north. This day is called the winter solstice or the beginning of Uttarayana. However, the Indian almanac or Panchanga marks the beginning of Uttarayana 3 weeks later than 22nd December. The Sun cannot wait for the almanac or Panchanga to come into line. The Sun in its path reaches the celestial equator on 21st March. This is point B. This point is referred to as the vernal equinoctial point. The Sun is at its maximum brilliance when it is at the vernal equinoctial point. The Sun reaches the northernmost point on 22nd June. This is point C. From there, he starts moving towards the south. 22nd June is the day of summer solstice or Dakshinayana. The Sun is again on the celestial equator on 23rd September. This point is D. This point is known as the autumnal equinoctial point. These 4 points are the undisputable cardinal points in astronomy. Now, in this figure, the celestial equatorial plane with the Earth at the center is shown. The Sun and the apparent path of motion of the Sun is the red dotted line. Now, coming to the planets, they move around the Sun in a circular belt with the ecliptic as the center line. The breadth of the circular belt is about 16 degrees, 8 degrees on either side of the ecliptic. The circular belt consists of millions of stars all along the ecliptic. Ancients have divided the circular belt of 360 degrees into 27 constellations or nakshatra segments. The Indians named these nakshatras based on their appearances visible to the naked eye as follows: Aswini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Mrigasira, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushya, Aslesha, Makha, Purva Phalguni, Uttara Phalguni, Hasta, Chitra, Swati, Vishakha, Anuradha, Jyeshta, Moola, Purvashada, Uttarashada, Sravana, Dhanishta, Satabisha, Purvabhadra, Uttarabhadra and Revati. Each nakshatra segment is a space of 13 degrees 20 minutes, which is the distance covered by the moon in a day. Generally, there is a misconception that a nakshatra is a single star, but in truth, it is a group of stars. For example, Rohini is a group of 5 stars forming the shape of a cart. The 360 degrees circular belt is also called the zodiac. This 360 degrees circular belt or the zodiac is divided into 12 parts of 30 degrees each. Each part is called a sign or rasi. The first sign or rasi is Aries. Then we have Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius and Pisces. These are the 12 rasis or signs. Now comes the important question. Where exactly the 0 degrees of Aries should start? In which nakshatra should it start? To answer this question, we have to look to the great Indian astronomer and astrologer par excellence, Varahamihira. He lived in 525 AD. He said that Dakshinayana occurred in the middle of Aslesha Nakshatra in Vedanga Jyotisha period, which period corresponds roughly to 1635 BC. If Dakshinayana occurred in Aslesha Nakshatra, then the vernal equinoctial point was in Kritika Nakshatra, being 90 degrees away from Aslesha. In fact, Kritika was the first nakshatra in Vedanga Jyotisha period. There is ample evidence to this fact in the book The Orion, written by Balagangadhar Tilak. Varahamihira said that Dakshinayana occurred in the last quarter of Punarvasu Nakshatra in his own time. The vernal equinoctial point in Varahamihira's period was therefore in the first quarter of Aswini Nakshatra. In this figure, the zodiac starting from Aries to Pisces is shown with its images which are purely imaginary and symbolical. The nakshatras are also shown in the figure. Letter K at the top stands for Kritika. In Vedanga Jyotisha period, the vernal equinoctial point coincided with Kritika. In due course of time, the zodiac retrograded from Kritika of Vedanga Jyotisha period to 0 degrees Aswini in 285 AD. Vernal equinoctial point coincided with 0 degrees Aswini. Therefore, zodiac in 285 AD started with Aswini. Vernal equinoctial point was in the first quarter of Aswini in Varahamihira's period in 525 AD. Varahamihira thus exploded the astrological as well as the astronomical world by his observations. Varahamihira considered Aswini as the first nakshatra in his time, abandoning Kritika of the Vedanga Jyotisha period. He also cautioned the future astronomers to look to the sky for their observations. The vernal equinoctial point retrogrades at the rate of 50.26 seconds a year. Presently, the vernal equinoctial point is in Uttara Bhadrapada. The zodiac is therefore a moving zodiac or tropical zodiac and not a fixed or sidereal zodiac. Even today, the Indian astrologers regard Aswini as the first nakshatra and base their calculations. The difference between the present day vernal equinoctial point, which is in Uttara Bhadrapada, and 0 degrees Aswini is about 24 degrees. This difference is called Ayanamsha. Tropical ephemeris give the planetary positions calculated from the vernal equinoctial point. The chart with planets' positions as measured from the vernal equinoctial point is called tropical chart or the Sayana chart. Majority of the Indian astrologers use tropical ephemeris and subtract the Ayanamsha to derive the planetary positions. The chart thus erected is called sidereal chart or Nirayana chart. Ayanamsha is a vexatious problem introduced by the Indian astrologers due to the communication gap since the time of Varahamihira. All charts in Varahamihira's Brihad Jataka are tropical as well as sidereal, since the vernal equinoctial point and Aswini coincided almost in his time. Any Nirayana chart of today having the same configuration of planets found in Brihad Jataka will not yield any result. When Varahamihira, the father of Indian astronomy and astrology, abandoned Kritika and adopted Aswini as the first nakshatra, are we still to regard Aswini as the first nakshatra in our times? Let us say goodbye to all these nakshatras and measure the degrees of the planets from the vernal equinoctial point only. In my next lecture, I will speak on the topic of dasas. Thank you.